What's up, everyone? Azariel here, and welcome to another episode of Yu-Gi-Oh 101 Retro Modernization. Pardon me, I just got through eating and I got a little gassy, so forgive me if I burp a couple times. You know, we're all human in this motherfucker. We all human. So, with that being said, the build that we're going to be taking a look at today is a build that was structured around a monster that, again, comes from the earlier days of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it wasn't featured much. I think it was only like featured once in the first series of Yu-Gi-Oh, and it wasn't seen that much after that. And it was like the card came out and people just left it alone, like it never got any play. It was one of those cards that it was cool, and that one time it happened in the anime, and then after that you didn't see it again, and there was no reason for anybody to even get emotionally invested in even bothering with the cards. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't have anything else for the card to appear in after that one moment. So, with that being said, I was looking through cards and I was researching cards pretty much like last year, and I decided that I was going to challenge myself to make a build with this. And so, this is another one of those retro modernized builds that I made back in 2013 that was completed and it worked very well. And I had added a couple new cards to my side deck just now. You know what I'm saying? After looking back at it, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Now, as always, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the cards in the main deck, the extra deck, and the cards that I have in the side deck. Even though I don't really use my side deck for cards, just switching out or anything like that. Um, I still have cards in there to remind me of what I can possibly change or you know, do if I feel like I need to make changes to the build, sometime in the future. So, with that being said, this is my Knight's Mirage build, named after Mirage Knight, which is the deck is built around. And with that being said, let's take a look at the monsters and the other cards that I have in this main deck. So, I got 3 Dark Magicians, 3 Mist Valley Watchers, 3 King of the Swamps, 2 Mirage Knights, 2 Sorcerer of Dark Magics. Uh, I have 2 TG Strikers, 3 TG Warwolf, and 2 X-Saber Partial. I have 1 Ancient Rules, 3 Instant Fusion, 3 Mystical Space Typhoon, 3 Polymerization, 1 Reinforcement of the Army, 3 Divine Wrath, 2 Imperial Iron Wall, 1 Malevolent Catastrophe, and 3 Security Orb. In the extra deck, I have 3 Dark Flare Knight, 3 Flame Swordsmen, 3 Supreme Arcanite Magicians, 3 Explosive Magicians, 1 TG Hyper Librarian, and 2 TG Wonder Woman. I mean, Wonder Magician. And in the extra deck, I have Little Trooper. This was at 3, but I kind of just shortened it just for the sake of the video. I took 2 of them out. I didn't, like, I don't really use it, but it's there. I have 1 other Mirage Knight, another TG Striker, another X-Saber Partial, a Dark Hole, a Magical Dimension, 2 Summoner Arts, 1 Call of the Haunted, another Imperial Iron Wall, 1 Magic Jammer, 2 Seven Tools of the Bandit, and Torrential Tribute. Now, I know some people are like, 7 Tools of the Bandit, Call of the Haunted, Magic Jammer, who the fuck still uses those? I know, right? But it was in there. I was trying to look for some non-monster support, just based on what I may have to deal with in an ideal situation. Because I run every type of scenario through my head with the build that I make. And I always try to make, or I always try to put in cards that can counter whatever those drawbacks may be. So, looking at what I'm trying to do with, or what I was aiming to do with this build, I just felt I just wanted to toss those in the extra deck. But nevertheless, let me go over the strategy with this build and what does each of the cards in there do, or how, in an ideal situation, how would these cards work. So the main strategy for this build, just like every retro modernization build that I do, is try to form around the original strategy and bring it up to date in today's era in Yu-Gi-Oh. And the main strategy in this build is to get Mirage Knight out and keep it there on the field. Hence the reason why I have Imperial Iron Wall. When this card is face up on the field, cards cannot be banished. When it's activate, cards cannot be banished whatsoever. And this is more so of a benefit for you than for your opponent. Because I know people are still playing Dragon Rulers and things like that. They have like a various, you know, different types of Dragon Ruler builds out there since the adults been limited and the babies got banned, you know, like a while back. But this is more for you because when Mirage Knight hits the field during the end phase after it was attacked or it attacked or was attacked, it gets banished. But with Imperial Iron Wall on the field, you won't have to worry about it leaving the field. So you have a monster that, you know, gains attack based on the original attack of the opponent's monster that it's battling. So this card in an ideal situation should not lose a battle. It shouldn't lose a battle at all. So that's why I have Imperial Iron Wall in there, just to keep Mirage Knight on the field afloat. And with Mirage Knight being able to gain attack based on the original attack of the monster that it's battling, you know, that's a formidable beat stick. So, you know, that's a monster that you would want to keep on the field. So Imperial Iron Wall does come in handy, and it's more of a benefit for the strategy that I'm implementing than for your opponent. You know, it's more of a benefit to you than trying to stop something that your opponent is doing. But if that happens, hey, who's complaining, right? So the way I get Mirage Knight out is obviously I need to get out Dark Flare Knight. How do I get out Dark Flare Knight? I need to get out Flame Swordsman. How do I do that? I don't have Masaki, the legendary swordsman, in there, and I don't have Flame Manipulator. So obviously, this is where Instant Fusion comes in. Instant Fusion, you know, you pay 1,000 life points, you get the special summon, 1 level 5 or lower fusion monster from your extra deck. You know, the monster cannot attack, and it's destroyed during the end phase, and you can only activate one of those, one Instant Fusion per turn. But since you're only, you know, bringing out only one of these per turn anyway, so it's cool, you know. So Flame Swordsman, the way you get out Flame Swordsman, Instant Fusion, and then you worry about getting out Dark Flare Knight. Now with Dark Flare Knight, you have two options with this card. Since Flame Swordsman, in an ideal situation, of course, will be on the field already, that's one fusion material monster on the field. Now you can either wait until you get Dark Magician, or two, or so either you can use Dark Magician, or two, you can use King of the Swamp, because it can act as a substitute for a monster that is listed in the fusion monster card text. So in this situation, it would be substituting Dark Magician. So that's another way you can get it out. And considering that as soon as it hits the graveyard after it's been destroyed by battle, that's when you are able to special summon a Mirage Knight from your hand or your deck. So that's very, very helpful. You don't have to wait to get Mirage Knight in your hand. You know, you can, you know what I'm saying, like you can also special summon it from your deck. So in any event that you don't draw it or anything like that, there's nothing to worry about. And the best part about this is it aids itself in its own effect, because you don't take any battle damage from battles involving Dark Flare Knight. So you can attack a monster that is stronger than Dark Flare Knight. You know, you can have Dark Flare Knight attack a monster that's way stronger than it is, and you don't have to take no battle damage, and plus you get a monster off of that. So that's really good. So also, along with this build, you guys know me, I try to put multiple strategies in builds. I kind of stated this last week with the last retro modernization. I try to put strategies within strategies. I have the primary strategy, and then I have like the secondary strategy, and then I have like the, you know, the strategy after that, and then I have one after that. Like, I try to layer the build with multiple strategies, so just in case one strategy doesn't get off, I have these other strategies to fall back on, and they don't hurt me as much, you know. So pretty much I'm not assed out like some builds where they only have one strategy, and if that one strategy doesn't get off, it really just makes them that much easier to beat. With me and the builds that I create, you have more than one problem on your hands. Yeah, you may have, you know, somehow prevented me from getting off my primary strategy, but now you have 3 other strategies to worry about, because even though I'm not able to get off that one, I'm still good. And the secondary strategies I have in this build are with Sorcerer of Dark Magic and Supreme Arcanite Magician. Now, with Sorcerer of Dark Magic, it can be special summoned, or it must be special summoned from the hand first. It must be special summoned from the hand first by attributing 2 level 6 or higher spellcaster type monsters on the field. And of course, it cannot be special summoned other ways. But the great thing about Sorcerer of Dark Magic, and this is another one of those cards that I felt really that have been ignored, another one of those great cards that have been ignored over the years, is during either player's turn, when a trap card is activated, it can just negate the trap card and destroy it. You know. And granted that, yeah, it must be face up on the field to activate and resolve the effect, of course. But still, to have a monster on the field that can prevent any trap card from being activated, that is something to be, applauding. Even if skill drain gets activated, it won't stop the effect of this monster, because it can negate the activation of the card. So that's what can prevent, the effect of skill drain from coming through. So this monster's effect would overpower skill drain. Just saying. Granted that it's on the field prior to skill drain being activated, of course. So that's one of the backup strategies I have. The secondary strategy I have in this build is Supreme Arcanite Magician. And the reason this is in here is because when it's fusion summoned, I mean, obviously, just looking at the fusion materials of the monster is 1 spellcaster type synchro monster and 1 spellcaster type monster. So you have pretty much 6 targets when it comes for that. You have 6 regular spellcaster monsters. You have Sorcerer of Dark Magic, Mist Valley Watcher, and you have Dark Magician. So those are your 3 targets. Now, of course, I have X-Saber Partial, and I have TG Striker in the build as tuners. So you have 4 tuners. The reason why I didn't add 3 TG Strikers in there, well, I don't want to get ahead of myself real quick. Hold on. I have 2 X-Saber Partials and I have 2 Strikers. And these are obviously going towards TG Hyper Librarian, TG Wonder Magician, and Explosive Magician. Now, the way you make Explosive Magician is, like I only have 1 level 4 in the build, and that's Mist Valley Watcher, so this would go towards that. Since TG Striker and X-Saber Partial are both level 2 tuner monsters, 2 plus 4 is 6, so I had to get a level 6 synchro monster that can use pretty much any tuner monster, and since the non-tuner monster was going to be a spellcaster, that wasn't going to be any problem. It was just worrying about the tuners to put in there. So that problem is taken care of with Explosive Magician. Not to mention that, it does have an effect that, granted that you have Supreme Arcanite Magician on the field already somehow, and then later on, if you still have the counters on it, you can you can summon the Explosive Magician if possible, and then activate its effect to get rid of your opponent's spells or traps. But then again, with Supreme Arcanite Magician, it can destroy monsters and spells and traps on the field. So it's no problem. Like you pretty much just get 2 shots with it. So that can come in handy. And plus it has a nice defense wall, so that's good. And with the counters on it, it has 3,400 attack, so that can be good. You know what I mean? So yeah, like you have options. And when it comes to TG Hyper Librarian, this is mainly for the monsters that I don't have that that can't be used to synchro summon into Wonder Magician. Now, a Wonder Magician, it can use any tuner, but the non-tuner monsters need to be uh, they need to be TG monsters. And the only other TG monster I have in there besides Striker is Warwolf. And since I only have and since I only have 2 magicians, I put 3 Warwolf in there. Obviously, Warwolf can also be used for Hyper Librarian. Also, the King of the Swamp can be used for Hyper Librarian as well. So, so really, you have options for getting those cards out. Also, with King of the Swamp, it can be discarded from your hand, and you can search out a Polymerization, which of course can go towards Dark Flare Knight and Supreme Arcanite Magician. So that's why that's in there. Now, a lot of people that look at this, they're like, why are you using Divine Wrath? Where does Divine Wrath come in handy? And why are you using Security Orb? Well, I've always used cards like Security Orb. Back in 2013, this was like my favorite trap card, and it still is to this day, because I consider it to be what I like to call a double whammy. That means whether I activate the card or whether I don't activate it and the card gets destroyed, while face down, something still happens. So whether I can activate it and something happens, or you destroy it while it's face down, it gets sent to the graveyard, and of course something still happens then. So it comes in handy, and it's one of those surprises that your opponent is never expecting. Oh, come on. There we go. So your opponent, they set or they summon a monster, and then they activate MST to destroy, the cards that you set Security Orb that you have, and with them thinking that, well, with today, the majority of cards that's being used is either a D Prison or a Mirror Force or something like that. So I would want to get rid of this as quickly, get rid of that trap card as quickly as possible. And I got plenty of people doing that. Like, I caught people off guard with Security Orb's secondary effect when it gets destroyed while face down, you can destroy one monster on the field. So that is very helpful, and it comes in handy, very much so. So that's why that's in there. Not to mention that if your opponent attacks, you can activate it and it switches that monster to defense position. So, that's good. Like Malevolent Catastrophe, it's kind of like a replacement for Heavy Storm. When your opponent declares an attack, you can destroy all spells and traps on the field, so that's not bad to have. And Divine Wrath is just another one of those cards that I really like. It's pretty much a classic way to get... Well, not classic. That was a wrong choice of words. It's one of those cards where it's simple enough to use, and you don't really have, and like, you can eliminate the problem, and you can get those monsters off the field. Like, it's pretty much like that. So that's why that's in there. Like, Divine Wrath does come in handy. As much as people don't like to use the card, it comes in handy. So there you go. And of course, with Striker being a warrior and X-Saber Partial being a warrior as well, that's when reinforcement of the army comes in handy. MST, self-explanatory. Ancient Rules is in there. I only have 1 Ancient Rules because since I have 3 Dark Magician, and chances are like they're going to be going towards something else. In the event that you can't kick those strategies off, at least you'll be able to get something on the field. Well, what I'm saying, like, without too much trouble in an ideal situation. And since I only have 3 level 5 or higher monsters, normal monsters, I would I only threw 1 in there because, again, like, you're using Dark Magician to get other things out. Like you're using Dark Magician for some other things. So this right here wouldn't be like I wouldn't have this at 2 or whatever, but maybe if you feel like you wanted to add 2 in there, of course, feel free. But if that case, then I would uh, also recommend that you activate that you add in this card, which can search out level 5 or higher normal monsters like Dark Magician. So that'll come in handy. And and yeah, so that's pretty much it. If you guys feel like you want to add another Imperial Iron Wall in there, I mean, I can understand that. And if you guys feel like you want to throw in another Mirage Knight, because I know you guys see that I have 3 instant fusions. I have 3 Dark Flare Knights, and I have 3, Flame Swordsmen and all of that. And but I only have 2 Mirage Knights in there. Mirage Knights are one of those cards where if you add 3, it could become a problem. I don't sometimes cards like that can cause clutter, and I've had this happen to me on a couple of occasions. But and I didn't want to keep you know th- 3 in there and me draw one and I'm not able to do anything with it. Cards like that you would want to wait, and even considering that Dark Flare Knight kind of searches it out, you don't really need to draw it as quick. I'm pretty sure you would rather have those draws, so like go towards something else like a TG Striker or like a Warwolf or something like that. So yeah, like I just limited it to 2. The reason why Instant Fusion is at 3 because you want to get Dark Flare, like Mirage Knight out as soon as possible. So by maxing out, I'm able to do that. Some people still like Dark Hole and Torrential Tribute. Those are in the side deck. So of course, if you want to switch some cards out and throw that in there, feel free. Um, Call of the Haunted. This card isn't even worth. Like I won't say that it's not worth using anymore, but it's so many other strategical ways for you to get monsters from the graveyard these days, or like to utilize monsters from the graveyard. I don't really feel the need to use a Call of the Haunted. It was originally in there, and I did kind of switch some cards out, but it's one of those things where I just did not feel like I needed it. Like I didn't really need it, because I think the monsters can handle themselves well enough to where, or at least like the strategy can handle itself well enough to where I didn't need to do anything. Like I didn't really need to do anything else to protect the monsters, because the strategy will keep um, the monsters right where you need them to be. And what I mean by that is like you can use them like as soon as possible. You know what I mean? So like the strategy, like it will take some work to get used to. Because even if after I made the build, like I had to, you know, like really kind of work with it a little bit. But nevertheless, it does work. So you guys won't have anything to worry about. So of course, try to build out. Let me know how it works for you, Mirage Knight. Hopefully, we can see some more play of this deck. And until next week, when I do another retro modernization, peace, and I'll see you guys then.